Well, guys, that is a wrap on this one between Belgium and Canada. Belgium get the 1-0 win in Canada's first World Cup appearance in 36 years. Let's take a look at the Group F standings right off the bat here. And Belgium with that win, leading the way with 3 points. Croatia and Morocco with 1 after their scoreless draw earlier today. Canada, no points yet. But guys, it's not the end of the world for Canada. No. As we said, this is their first World Cup appearance in 36 years. I think they made a really, really good impression. I love the way they came out and started this game. Some missed opportunities, obviously, with the missed PK from Alphonso Davies. Perhaps a penalty that should have been given. We're going to get more on that from Christina Unkel. But
two penalties.
Two penalties. Two penalties.
Want to make sure we keep the numbers.
Oh gosh. But Pa, you kind of said it as the game was winding down. A lot to be proud of from this performance from Canada.
Oh yeah, I think they played a great game. I think they were on the front foot the whole game. They had their opportunities. Unfortunately, didn't capitalize from it. But I think that it sends a message to the players, to the fans around the world, to the whole country that this is a team that can still get out of this group because they still have 2 games to play for. So for me, the message from Herdman, and I know it will be, is we still have opportunity to get out of this group. This is your first ever World Cup in 36 years and your first for some of you players. We serve at the moment, but we still got 6 points to play for.
And I think those standings, that's the victory. That's the statistical victory today is that Canada is in it. Mm-hmm. Canada controls their own destiny at this moment. Coming off this performance, if they can play like this against Croatia and Morocco and get the results, it doesn't matter what Belgium does. They will go through. And that is not something every team can say right now at the World Cup. And there's no reason they shouldn't believe they can, right? This is the best team in the group. Mm-hmm. Belgium's the giant. Belgium is one of 2 teams that has been first or second in the world over the last 4 years. They have been no lower than second coming into this World Cup. So to me, that's a huge moment to come out of this. And listen, Kamal Miller cramping at the end, Eustachio we'll have to see physically how they bounce back. And Pa, we talked about this strange World Cup, only 4 days between games instead of 5 like normal. But Canada walks out of this one, and I think the table is set for them the way that they want it to be coming out of this game, although they thought they would need to have gotten points probably to be in that position.
Yeah. And honestly, they could have. As we mentioned, they had a missed PK early in the game, but then there were, as Gas reminded me, 2 potential penalties that were not awarded. One in particular, we all believe should have been given, but Christina Unkel is here to explain her theory as to why it was not. Christina, thank you so much once again for being here. What can you tell Canada supporters about that non-penalty call?
Well, I mean, which one are we digging into first, right?
Exactly. Are we talking about the Tajon Buchanan one? Is that the one that we're like?
So we have the Buchanan one, which is the offside one, right? And then we have, I think it's Larea, also the potential step on his foot one. So let's go to this offside one first, because this is the one we all can agree is not offside due to the fact of the deliberate play. Here we have a deliberate play by the defender. So therefore, whether Buchanan's in offside position is irrelevant. All right, so that is 100% incorrect. Now, what I have been spending the entire second half is trying to get video to see where the contact. And right here, prior to the contact on the foot, the defender number 5 for Belgium actually clears the ball first, right? So, in fact, this is actually not a foul. And this is why VAR did not intervene in this, okay? And this is why it's so important to get the videotape. That's why I was like, I'm going to clarify until I see some videotape. When we take that clip and you slow it down, you see that number 5 Belgium actually clears the ball. It changes complete trajectory. And then there's contact on the top of the foot of Buchanan, not the ankle. Some people are claiming the ankle. I'm like, video doesn't lie. I've taken snapshots and sent it to them. But it's at the top of the boot, the top of the foot, right? And so everyone's arguing, hey, but sometimes we see that, right? If there's a follow through after a play, it still gets penalized. penalty area context matters. And here's why, right? When we have a defender or a goalkeeper and an attacker's going by them, and they go and there's some contact, we're always looking at, did that defender or the goalkeeper make contact on that ball first, and meaningful contact, and change the ball before there was this incidental contact after the fact. Don't get me wrong, I feel bad for Buchanan's toe. I really do. That doesn't feel good. But this is the deciding factor as to why it's not even a foul in the first place, and which is why the VAR team did not get it wrong. They didn't recommend down for an overturn for a penalty kick because there was no foul in the first place. Now, offside alone, standing by itself, since VAR has determined there is no foul, there's no point in recommending for overturning the offside because that's not one of the 4 reviewable incidents. So unless they had a clear and obvious error for a foul for a penalty, then they wouldn't touch the offside alone. Woo, that was a lot. Sorry, I spent 45 minutes breaking that down.
Wow.
There's been a lot of forensic going on.
So because it's on the clearance of the, or sorry, because it's on the motion of the clearance, the defender has the right to that movement, and therefore you're saying it's not a foul at all.
Yes. So, and there's good argument, right? Where people are like, hey, if this happened in the center of the field, you guys would have called a foul. And everyone's like, what should be fair in the center should be fair in the penalty area, right? And for the most part, yes, that answer is typically what kind of we prefer. However, like I said, it matters in the penalty area as opposed to the middle of the field, because the middle field, you don't have a penalty, right? You don't have a game-changing decision necessarily. That's why when we are given these clips and these analysis on interpretation and application in the penalty area, when there's a defender making a challenge on the ball, we're always first and foremost looking at, did that defender make meaningful contact on the ball before they made contact on the attacker? And then we look at the contact on the attacker. You know, did it rise to the level of, a serious foul play, right? Is it more than incidental adhere? Because you want to give that defender that opportunity to clear the ball because they're literally sitting in their penalty area, right? That's where that deference changes just a bit when we do into the penalty area. Always looking to see if the defender makes that contact, or the goalkeeper, right? When they usually reach out and one hand gets all ball and the other hand gets the entire player at the same time. We're always looking for that hand that gets the ball, right? And not going through the player to get to the ball, but actually getting the ball first and then maybe a little bit of the player. So that's how we were told to break it down, look at it. And that's why the VAR team did not touch this and say it was check complete.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
And you can see even like any of these rules analysts, I mean, we are going back. There's a couple of my colleagues doing this around the world, sitting here saying, how did we miss it? And then I said, first and foremost, let's go to the foul in and of itself. We have to always go to the foul in and of itself. And then that's when we all started breaking down the play. Instead of saying, how did the VAR team miss it? Were they too focused on the offside that they missed the deliberate play? There's 5 people in there in the VAR booth right now. It's a CONMEBOL team, but with 2 UEFA VARs with Massimiliano Irrati, who is like the number 1 VAR in the world into the last World Cup. So I'm sitting here stressing about how they missed all of this stuff with such credentials up there, right? And then I said, wait, we're going way too complicated. I have a couple of different theories. Maybe the on-field team started way too quickly and then VAR couldn't intercede, right? Because that moment of window got closed. And then I'm like, just keep it simple. Take a look at the foul. No foul. We're good. VAR wouldn't have gotten involved. That shows how much time it took us and many others here reviewing that. Can you imagine doing that in the VAR booth?
No.
We have a split of seconds. I mean, mind you, they also have like 40 camera angles. You've seen the VAR booth, the video operating room, actually. It's glorious in a really dorky way. It's super glorious having all these different camera angles and like 5 video operators. You're saying, give me this, give me this, give me this. And they're just popping things into your quad. So I do argue that they have a lot of better setup than I do personally, but I'll talk to MLS Soccer about like 50 more screens in here.
Man, that is a tremendous amount of information, but super helpful and a great breakdown as to why that was not called. Goss, go ahead.
Yeah.
The other one now?
Yeah. So we want to
Richie Larea.
Yeah, Richie Larea. So, at first, like I said, I had seen one video replay or one replay of it, and it was from kind of the back. I've seen it from behind the camera angle, and I've seen it from an above kind of view. This kind of level of contact, there was a little bit more shoulder to shoulder, a little bit of the boot, but does it rise to the level, right? When we want to give a penalty, we want to give a penalty, right? Like undeniable. And here, yes, there was a little bit of contact on the boot. Yes, there was a bit of shoulder to shoulder on it, but it doesn't rise to that level of a penalty for it. So kind of when we would put it, when we do clip analysis reviews, etc., if we were to put this on a meter, it would be a lot closer to no foul than it would be to a penalty game-changing decision. So that's why, you know, we've all gone back and forth. And as soon as we all got these clips, we're like, nah, that's never a foul. Like, so in our world, that's not a foul. I know that's not what Team Canada wants to hear. I swear we all love Team Canada, contrary to David's thought. Like, if I blink left, it's IFAB that hates him. If I blink right, it's FIFA that hates him. Nobody can potentially hate Canada, even if you try. That's how much everyone loves Canada.
You don't have to worry about it. I don't like soccer anymore. I'm done. I'm out. So I don't even care.
You know what? If I got $1 for every time someone's told me the game's gone, I would be rich. I would be rich right now.
I just don't have any more left. My emotional meter is empty.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. Oh, just spent. Christina, thank you so much for your help today. As always, you are going to be back on our next Club and Country watch along on Friday, correct? With the U.S. taking on England.
Yes, hopefully I'm out of my turkey coma by that time. So.
Exactly. Well, hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. And again, thank you so much. Incredible stuff as always.
Happy Thanksgiving, all.
Thank you, Christina.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay, guys, can we, for a second, let's take the penalties or penalty non-calls out of it. Thanks, Christina. Her mic's still live. Guys, this is what happens. We love you. We love you, Christina. We don't want to say goodbye ever.
Even when she's not on air, she's
not on air, she's still with us. Do we think that this was, if you, again, take those, potential plays out of it, could Canada have won this game? Did they create enough chances that they could have walked away with 3 points against arguably the best team in this group?
Yeah, they should have won this game.
Yes.
Right. The stats tell you, the way it was played out tells you, both in terms of tactics, in terms of chances, and in terms of momentum and confidence. But I think this is a lesson, especially even as Americans, we learn every 4 years, which is there's that little bit of class. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have lucky calls and sometimes you don't. But it's not a coincidence that the big teams always get the lucky calls. It's because they don't make mistakes and they have the quality to take advantage. And Canada didn't take advantage of the chances they got. And Batshuayi didn't need to be asked again, right? Mm-hmm. Even coming in for Lukaku, that's a top-level striker. And he didn't need a second look at it. And they take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah. Pa, what are your thoughts?
100%. No, 100. I mean, like I said, Canada had nothing to lose. They went out to the game to play lame. But again, in football, the momentum is what you need to think. And we saw it today. Canada, the penalty, the momentum, the half unity, goal, games, match, done.
All right. Pa, we're having audio issues with you. Once again, we're going to get to the bottom of that shortly. So while we get that sorted out, we are going to bring in our very own armchair analyst, Matt Doyle.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Look at that.
Celebrity sighting.
He just appeared. It's wonderful to see Matt Doyle, who just filed his column, I'm sure, and had a lot to say about this one. But Matt, we want to get your sort of initial thoughts on this result, your big takeaways from the Canada-Belgium match that we just watched.
I mean, heartbroken for Canada, given how great they played today against what's been a very good Belgium team, though they were not very good by any measure today, other than Courtois. I kind of expected they would come out in the first 20 minutes with their hair on fire, trying to push and get a goal. I didn't expect them to keep that up for a solid 60 minutes. But they did. They put Belgium under so much pressure. They deserve the PK. I buy Christina's explanation for the second PK that they did not get. But even without that, they were creating chance after chance after chance. But it like, this is the difference between a good team and a great team. Great teams, teams that have been there before tend to find a way to get that goal, as Belgium did today. And Canada, making their debut, just didn't have that cutting edge. I come out of it thinking a little bit of the U.S. performance against Germany in 2002 in the quarterfinals.
100%.
I've been watching the U.S. play in the World Cup for 32 years. That is the only time that I've seen the U.S. dominate a good opponent to the level that Canada dominated Belgium today. The question I have coming out of it, though, is like, all right, that was the U.S. spent it all. They had nothing left to play for, and then they were out of the tournament. I think if they had played the next game, they would have lost 4-0 because they were just completely out of gas. I am worried coming out of this game that Canada spent so much that they won't have the same level of energy. And one of the things that made them so good in this game is that level of energy that they brought, especially against that Belgian back line. They were like, this was not the Canada that we saw in World Cup qualifying. Canada in World Cup qualifying had 26% possession against the U.S. 26%. They were pure counterattacking soccer in World Cup qualifying. In this game, they were taking it to Belgium way up the field. They're playing a much higher line against Belgium than they ever did against the U.S. than they ever did against Mexico, than they ever did against Costa Rica. So it was a reversal. I think Herdman was smart to do it because they played great, and you want to come out with that confidence on the front foot. And it made it a hell of a lot of fun to watch as a neutral. It takes a toll. It takes a toll. I think physically he just asked so much of these guys today.
Can I ask though? I mean, we've all kind of agreed that Belgium is the strongest team in this group, and it would have been, obviously massive for them to get any sort of result against them. But now, up next they've got Croatia and then a game against Morocco, who are, I would argue lesser opponents than Belgium. Does that change it at all? For I mean, can they? Does the opponent matter, I guess? Or do you think that just physically, they exerted so much that it's just going to be tough to recreate?
I mean, the opponent absolutely does matter, right? And the other two teams in this group, they're good teams. They're not as dangerous as Belgium. Canada will not go into either of those games feeling fear in their bones about anything that they're facing. They should be confident going in there. But just rationally looking at it, we see teams empty the tank like that. It's tough to bounce back. And to be honest, that's what we saw throughout World Cup qualifying. When teams in those 3-game windows that we had for World Cup qualifying, the number of teams that got a big result in or played as hard as they could in leg 1 and then had anything left in the tank by leg 3, it was very small. I mean, think about the U.S. in the last World Cup qualifying window, right? They went to the Azteca and they emptied the tank for a point. They had that great result over the win over Panama, and they went down to Costa Rica, got absolutely drilled because they had nothing left. That feels like it could play a factor, especially because that Morocco-Croatia game was very cagey. Both those teams are going to have plenty left in the tank. It's going to be something Herdman is going to have to address with, I think, maybe adjusting the tactics a little bit back to what we saw in World Cup qualifying, playing a little bit more against the ball, for one. And for two, there's going to have to be a certain amount of squad rotation, which they can do a little bit, but this team doesn't go 26 deep. They go more like 18 deep, and that can handcuff them here because as David and Pa were saying, only four days between games, not 5, and that extra day matters.
I would throw in though a few elements. Obviously, you're talking about World Cup qualifying. The U.S. flew from Mexico City to Florida to Costa Rica, right? This is a 12.5-mile drive, so there's that. You also have the element of all the teams are in the same scenario. And I agree, Morocco-Croatia was obviously played at less of a intensity level, but every team has the same schedule of bouncing back and trying to deal with it. And the third thing I'd say is what I saw from Morocco against Croatia is I do actually think you want to sit deeper than what Canada did today. That's what troubled Croatia was they weren't able to pull apart a team that was sitting in that mid block. And then Morocco tried to press in their moments. And that's where Canada, I think, takes a similar game plan. And their hope is when you turn them over, you're more efficient, dangerous, and successful than what Morocco did today. But I think that's the blueprint for the game for Canada is what Morocco did this morning. And that's one that fits, as Doyle said, fits their team very well. It'll be comfortable. It's also probably that physical shift you need to be able to sustain for another 90 minutes.
Pa, are you back with us?
Hey! Yes, I'm back. I'm back in full effect.
Don't keep saying that, Pa, because then you go away.
Then I go away again. No, but listening to both of you, to your explanation, I think given this was the first game, They wanted to go out on the front foot. I think we are more likely to see Canada go back to their mid-block, a little bit low block, and being that counter-attacking team, given that the next two opponents are not at the same level as Belgium. So I do believe that it will be more suited for them. But again, who knows? Maybe they want to go out again playing a high block. And I think trying to get the first goal matters, especially going into your second game. Trying to get the first goal, I think if Canada get the first goal, go back to that mid-block, low block that they like to play, then they're the dangerous counter-attacking team. Because Morocco struggles with a team that's also sit in a deep block. Because they don't have those creative players beside Ziyech.
Oh, no.
No, we got him.
Oh,
No, you're
wait,
good.
he's back.
You're good.
Okay.
You just ended. You ended like so definitively. I think
I know.
everybody.
I was like, wait, did he?
It
looked like he was still talking. I was like,
no, I was. That was just the coach in me. That was just the coach in me finishing the sentence.
So effective. So effective. Well, Canada will play again. They will take on Croatia this Sunday at 11 a.m. And, you know, just kind of looking ahead to that one. What are you hoping to see from them in terms of lineup? Just, you know, tactically, how do they approach this one? Pat, let's stick with you because you're in the coach's zone right now. What will you be looking for?
Well, looking at Herdman right after the game, which they normally do, they circle up and you can see that he's talking to the group. He's feeding the confidence. And I think there's a lot of confidence to take away from this game. Like to the point what Dave and Matt and myself were saying, they played very well. The moments that they had, they did not just take them. Now, against Croatia, can they do that? Can they be that team that take care of the chances that they have? But if you allow Croatia to play the way also they can play, they have a player in a world-class player in Modric who still affect games. It's not the same team that they had Croatia in 2018, but they are still a dangerous team enough to hurt you if you give them those opportunities. So Canada should regroup again, look at this from a positive standpoint that they played well, you know, but then when those chances come, that Fonzie had the penalty, Kyle Laren had one header, which normally you would say he can score. Can they take care of these chances and then they have opportunity to win? I still believe in them, even though David has.
I didn't give up on anyone. The only thing I gave up on was myself. I'm not strong enough to
bust his chops.
Yeah.
I encourage it. Doyle, what about you? What are you going to be looking for on Sunday from Canada?
I think Pod nailed it. I
Yeah.
want to see them, come out in that low block and invite Croatia forward and do what they did in qualifying and hitting behind and just make sure that you can. John Herdman and the guys on the team, they were very good about keeping their level of intensity up, even when they were playing against the ball like that. We've seen teams, even a team as good as Japan, I thought for 60 minutes today, they were playing deep and against the ball. And because of that, they became passive, right? And Canada throughout qualifying, even when they were playing deep and against the ball, they weren't passive. So I want to see that version of them. I want to make sure, I want to see them play with confidence and purpose and like just clarity when they get a chance to go forward, because that's what got them here in the first place. And whoever the personnel is out there, though, I will say, get Kyle Laren out there from the start. I thought Jonathan David struggled to sort of impose himself against the center backs. And I think David's a little bit better sort of playing as a shadow striker than he is as a true number 9, at least for this type of team, right? I think for certain teams, like if he goes to Arsenal, yeah, he fits as a 9 for Arsenal, but Canada don't play that way. So I think getting Laren back into the starting lineup, that is like the one obvious personnel move I would make. And then the rest of it comes down to, you talk to the players, you talk to your training staff, and you say, okay, whose legs are good to go and who do we need to rest from the start of this one?
Man, you're talking about Canada and Arsenal in the same sentence. You used to have to watch the Lithuanian league to know how players played for their club and for Canada. It has changed a lot.
Unattached FC was the greatest provider of players to the Canadian national team.
Fortunately, and I think it's only respectful for history, Lucas Cavallini was able to keep that connection, and Unattached FC has returned to the World Cup for Canada after 36 years. What's I think tough about the Croatia game is I do think you probably have to add one to central midfield because of Kovacic, Brozovic, and Modric, right? That's Croatia's strength. And so if you bring in Larin, do you drop Jonathan David in? Do you keep Junior Hoylett on the field? Do you keep Fonzie at left wing back? I think there are a few question marks and dominoes that fall from there. I'd be surprised if you didn't bring another piece in midfield. I wouldn't be shocked if that piece is Marc-Anthony Kaye or Sam Piette, and that Eustachio's pushed up a little bit to be sort of a 10 in that three-man midfield. But either way, you probably need to add that extra number in there to just cover what Croatia does well. But I would also love to see Larin in this game because if you do sit deeper, he's been a phenomenal outlet through World Cup qualifying because he's comfortable going out into the channels and playing as a winger and a creator. He also will pull center backs for David or Fonzie or whoever else to make those runs, but he can hold up the ball. He can win headers. He can flick on. So all of that stuff that you probably want to bring back into the team if that's how you're going to set up.
I love this. I want to also give a shout out to Matthew Hindley in the YouTube chat who says, "Love you, Pa, Pacific FC for life." So, Pa, you're getting some love in the YouTube comments. Just wanted to make sure that was
a glass plate.
And on that note of keeping things positive, I just want to make sure that we're celebrating what Canada achieved today, because I do think that, Pa talked a lot about it, and I thought he spoke about it so beautifully before the match started, just about, this is the world's eyes are suddenly on this country. They're an emerging soccer nation. And I think what they put out there on the field today was something to absolutely be proud of. They were the better team for significant stretches of this game. And they came out, as Pa said, with, sort of that like nothing to lose mentality. They were on the front foot. And I just, for their first World Cup appearance in 36 years, I think that we need to celebrate what Canada showcased today on the global soccer stage. And Gus, you're shaking your head. I know you got a lot of love for this country.
No, sorry. I'm taking in so much of now. I'm realizing everyone else watched this game too. And I'm seeing all the messages that I've been getting. So did you ask me?
Sorry. No, I just like from like a sort of big picture perspective, I'm trying to keep it positive. I want to end on a high note here.
This was a moment that some people thought may never be possible. And for a lot of the people I know who have lived that, their messages have all been, I can't believe what I just saw. That's the team I wanted to see. That's the game I wanted to see. And I think for a lot of people, that's rewarding. I think there'll be Canadians who don't watch this team, but do watch soccer, who will be won over, which is the first battle. I think there'll be Canadians who don't watch soccer who will have enjoyed and be proud of what they saw, who will be won over. And I think there's a lot of people around the world who don't watch Canadian soccer who are going to tune in for sure when they take the field against Croatia and feel like they're going to get a show. And that's what you wanted out of this game. And I think you saw a lot of that. And John Herdman will bring that to this team and say they made Canadian soccer proud, but they've proven they're good enough to do that and win. And so there is steps to go, but there's positivity to take within the moments that we saw. And so I think this was a special day. It was going to be no matter what, but I don't think it could have gone that much better. But it could have, if Alphonso Davies had scored, it would have been a little bit.
Whatever. Pa, we're so grateful that you joined us today. Just want to get your kind of final thoughts here on what you saw today, what you're looking forward to from this Canada team.
Same. I think they did their country. I think we'll be proud of it. And just coming out there 36 years ago was the last World Cup, 1986. They have to go. Again, they still can make it out of this group with the support behind them, behind the club, from the fans, from the country. They still have an opportunity to go out of this group. And that's for Herdman will for sure make sure that the players know that.
I love it. optimism all around. Guys, I want to thank everybody on Twitch and on YouTube for joining us. I want to remind everyone too to stick around. Head on over to MLS Twitter for Club and Country today. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw every
34 minutes.
Every game day at 5 p.m. Eastern. They'll wrap up the entire day of action, which is always really fun. Great commentary from those guys. Goss is pulling a double duty today. We love him for
I got to get to my production meeting.
I know. We got to wrap this up. And a big one on Black Friday, guys. Forget all the shopping. We got USA taking on England. We're going to be live on YouTube and Twitch basically on all MLS channels starting at 1:45 p.m. for another Club and Country watch along. You do not want to miss that. That is going to be so much fun. So yeah, come hang with us. I think Christina Unkel, as we said, is going to be back for that one as well. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. Another day of action in the books. We appreciate y'all and enjoy your evening. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all soon.